Don't try to sneak into your room like that. I know what you've got behind your back. Records. More new records.
Hi there. Welcome to the first, and I hope the last, virtual making vinyl. I said virtual, not literal. I'm sorry, it's hard getting help during a pandemic. So I don't have to tell you, this has been a really tough year. At least our business is not restaurants. They've had a much worse time than we have. So the year began before the pandemic with the difficult situation of the Apollo lacquer fire, and everybody was worried about lacquers and whether the whole industry was going to shut down because of that. And that hasn't happened, actually. That's the one good thing we can say about this past year. The Japanese company that provides lacquers, MDC, has stepped up their production. And plus, by the time the Apollo lacquer fire happened, many companies had already switched over to MDC. For the first time in decades, revenue from vinyl sales surpassed that of CD for the first half of the year. In fact, it was almost double. But it was misreported as vinyl outsells CDs. Now, we all know that vinyl does not outsell CDs at this point, although the trend line looks like that might happen eventually. Let me just read to you some of the information I got from various people in the industry. Now, you know, our industry, we're all into vinyl, but what does that mean as far as you and I? There are so many different aspects to being into vinyl, so many different silos of vinyl. There's the high-end performance side of vinyl, which is where I come from. There are people that just collect picture discs. There are people that just collect colored vinyl. Because people were locked down and stuck in their homes, I can tell you that the major producers of turntables, such as Riga, their business has gone up 20% since the pandemic, as people stuck at home look for ways to improve their home entertainment experience. These are some emails I got from people in the industry. I asked for how are they doing, mostly pressing plants and some online retailers. I hope you're keeping well. We had a difficult spring with a sharp decrease of demand for records due to the pandemic. The situation has changed significantly with summer coming, and since June, July, we have operated at full speed and we feel substantial demand for our products. Surprisingly, we do not experience any shortage of lacquers due to the Apollo fire. I wish you a successful presentation next week and stay in touch. Well, you'll be the judge of that. We just purchased a building at the end of 2018 to expand our online and retail business. We were about to begin remodeling when the pandemic hit and had to put that on hold. We started to see our sales drop significantly. However, business then started to pick up over the spring and summer months, and we have been doing fairly well. Our sales are now slightly up for the year, and we have resumed our remodel and we're moving into our facility early next year. We have had to learn to work in the new remote world with some of our staff and had to create new procedures for shipping and receiving to maximize social distancing. So that's one online retailer. Here's a bit of COVID-19 from another record pressing plant. Operations were halted March 20th. We resumed limited operation May 25th. First one shift only, then second shift around July 1st. Pardon the dog. Full 24-hour operation resumed August 17th. 95% of our employees returned to work by August 17th or before. Customers were very sympathetic. Customers meaning people, wholesalers, record labels. Customers were very sympathetic and patient. Only a very small percentage of work was moved to other plants. I'd estimate less than 5%. Demand was strong before the shutdown and has remained so. We were operating at capacity 5.5 days per week. We are very concerned about the COVID situation, obviously. Let's see, here's another one. Plating from California. I won't mention plants because I promised everybody I wouldn't mention names, stopped while the state was closed down, creating a bottleneck that is just now being untangled. This set a lot of projects back. Some PVC suppliers cut the amount of material they were producing, causing shortages still felt today. March and April were terrible for us. This is what I heard throughout the industry, that, of course, when the pandemic started and everybody shut down, business kind of fell off the cliff. Down 50 to 60% compared with last year. July to present have been our biggest months ever. And this is another thing I heard. Once business came back, it came back really big. Chalk that up to labels catching up for lost time. The cost of importing Euro vinyl into the U.S. has been super expensive, and big box retailers have fully embraced vinyl and are selling so much vinyl that it's put a strain on everyone to keep up. COVID has required us to change our processes and staffing, which has caused delays and for a time lowered our pressing output. We are just getting back to pre-pandemic pressing levels. Another pressing plant. Hi, Michael. Nice to hear from you. Hope you're doing well. Well, COVID did hurt our business initially. The first 6 months of this year were down compared to last by 10%. From July, things went very well, so we will end up the year approximately 15% up from last year. We believe this is the effect of people staying home and not being able to attend live performances. Playing a record is possibly the closest experience to this. Amen. We all agree with that. Although global numbers were on the way down, COVID has had a very positive result on these. See my figures below. Hope it stays this way for a while. Not sure, though, what will happen when COVID is gone and people can go to festivals again. You know, I think people will hopefully go out and see live music, and will continue to enhance their listening experience at home by buying records. We were closed for 6 weeks, March to April, due to the pandemic. Fortunately, customers did still place orders, and sales have grown since, but that was a challenging time. The human element of making records has been significantly affected. Socially distancing people means using up vastly more space to assemble records than before. To keep good employees, we've had to be flexible with their needs and schedules in connection on how COVID affects their personal lives. All of these things tend to make getting records shipped taking longer than before. Machines can pump out records. In spite of the pandemic, it is all the human stuff that needs to happen that is most affected. Thankfully, we have not been greatly affected by the lacquer incidents. This is what I've heard from everybody. We had primarily been relying on MDC since 2017, but you are no longer able to offer reference lacquers, which was a significant part of our business. So you can't get a reference to listen to. Sales are up versus 2019, which is one good thing that can be said about 2020 at blankety blank. 15. You know, as long as we're talking about the year, this year there have been so many great records. So I'm going to show you some records because, you know, I'm here, I'm at home, I'm not on the road at making vinyl. You know, this Tom Petty box, this is just a wonderful, wonderful piece of vinyl, which is what people call it now. I don't like that piece of vinyl. This box set is beautifully produced, and, you know, the Wildflowers, which is an autobiographical piece of work from Tom Petty reflecting on his life and making some big changes. All analog on the first record, and sound is spectacular, just wonderful. And all the other things on here, all the bonuses, the live performances, the material that was left off the original record, the demos, all of it is worthwhile. It's one of the few projects, I will say, where you get all this extra stuff and you go, wow, this is useful. It's not like, why did they throw all this extra stuff in? A wonderful set, a great thing for 2020. Taylor Swift's record took a long time to get. I ordered it a long time ago. It took them a while to get it. It's beautifully packaged. And you know, a lot of my older friends go, I don't know, what do I care about that? And I say, if you can listen to Joni Mitchell's Blue now, which I can still listen to all the time, why can't you listen to this? It's a younger woman's similar kind of reflections, and beautifully recorded, and good people involved in this. Jack Antonoff, a neighbor of mine up the road here in New Jersey. I don't think he lives there anymore, but that's where he grew up. And also Mr. Desner, living in Brooklyn. Nice record. This was a direct-to-disc recording of a symphony orchestra done in Europe, the Bamberg Symphony, and this is a Smetana Mavlast. You know this piece of music, you know the Moldau, whether you think you know it or not, you know it. This sold out. This was a $150 box, sold out really quickly, gone. And if you heard this on a good stereo, it's like you're there. It's astonishing. No digital, no download, no CD can begin to sound like this. Here's one Third Man released. This is a guy playing. I'll give you the exact. The whole thing. It sounds like You've Been to Heaven and Come Back, and it's all made by a 1967 Emmons Cut-Tail push-pull pedal steel guitar. And if you want to, you put this on, and I don't care if you're religious or not, it'll do amazing things to the inside of your body. It will. And Analog Productions, they got the metal parts from the Library of Congress and did the complete plantation recordings of Muddy Waters from 1941 to 1942. Just a beautifully presented package, canvas jacket, and the sound is amazingly good. I mean, it doesn't sound really old because Alan Lomax recorded it, direct to disc. So that's another one. New Strokes album, one of the best records of the year as far as I'm concerned. Really nicely packaged. Another band I like is Car Seat Headrest. Just showing it. Matador put this one out. This guy's really interesting. Will Toledo. And it's an interesting record. There's lots of great rock and pop music coming out now. A lot of my older friends are such curmudgeons. They can't listen to anything new. It's all old stuff that they like. And a successful reissue series, the Tone Poet series from Blue Note, which proved you could cut from analog master tapes, do it, press at a good pressing plant, put it at 180 gram vinyl, beautiful packaging, $35, and sell lots of them. I know the numbers, I can't talk about the numbers, but they're incredible. They're incredible numbers. Quality sells. Another great series are the Verve Analog Production series. These two records sold out. The first pressing run, which was large, I mean it was 5 figures, sold out almost immediately, and eventually they'll be repressed. These sold in bigger numbers now than when they were first released in the 60s. Okay, keep that in mind. So you can stream this stuff, you can listen to it on Sirius, whatever, but people and the demographics are incredibly skewed downward. Young people are spending the money to buy these records and own them and have them, which I think is great. Another one is from that series is a couple of Nina Simone's. She's timeless. This is part of a box set that was put out, cut from digital, last year or 2 years ago. It's a nice set. It sounds okay. This one, cut from tape, it's just in a different realm. It's in a different realm. It just is. Optimal Media in Germany, they have a sustainable vinyl release program with everything is recycled and sustainable, which I think is really interesting. And if you're ecologically responsible and you totally want to do it using the least carbon footprint, they've got a program for that. I'm just about done, but I thought I would leave you with the 2 most offensive records in my collection. Okay, these are the 2 most offensive. Okay, and if you're offended, I'm sorry, but so this is on Kent Records. This came out in the 70s, I guess, and this is The Sensual Black Woman by the Madame. And I will not read what's on the back because the back is really offensive. But what's interesting about records is I look at who produced it. The executive producer was Jules Bahari. So the Bahari brothers were these Hungarian Jews who came to America. They were involved in a lot of black labels. And the 3 brothers were portrayed in I Am Dolomite, the Eddie Murphy movie that came out last year, or maybe it was this year. They're in that movie, and another guy in this is credited with producing it is T. Tony. T. Tony, some of you may know this, T. Tony actually produced the original Dolomite movie in the 70s. And if you go online and look up these names, you can find a world of information. That's one of the great things about records that you just don't get elsewhere, is that you can look those things up. So this is offensive. Okay, that's one of my most offensive records. Here's another one. This came out on A&M Records. This is God Save the Queens. Okay, is there, okay, they were trying to be ahead of their time, and Sandy Barron, and who produced this and did voices on it, was trying to be ahead of the curve, which obviously was, but that cover, I don't think it gets more offensively stereotypical than that cover. All right, so now I'm done, because that some of you probably are done with me. But at any rate, I hope that this virtual vinyl event, this Making Vinyl virtual version, is the final one that we have to do. and that as soon as possible we can all get together and see each other in person and have another breakout event as the vinyl resurgence continues beyond anything I ever imagined it might be when I started screaming about vinyl's superiority in the 80s. I mean, this is like a dream come true for me. So have a great event, and thanks for watching.